August 30th, 2023. Well, we're nearly a week after, well, we are a week after, I should say, the first Republican debate, which former President Trump didn't attend, and he's still, according to the Real Clear average of polls, is still holding his more than 50% lead and preference. And basically, it doesn't seem like a whole lot's changed. Maybe Ramaswamy has gained a little bit, and other than that, it seems like we're about where we were. Uh, um, and so we're kind of heading pretty much still with Trump in the lead. And of course, recently we all just had an announcement that was it the March the 4th, I believe it is. Anyway, it's the day before the Super Tuesday is when the judge in D.C. has scheduled the trial on the January 6th related issues directly. So, um, so some people are saying that the Democrats are definitely doing everything they can to ensure that Trump will get nominated, and because it does seem like there's two groups here that are absolutely for Trump getting the nomination. Trump and his most loyal supporters, and apparently the Democrats. At least that seems to be the theory, that running against Trump is their best bet. At any rate, we'll see if that proves out to be true. Of course, on the other hand, we have a senator, a state senator, Clayton Moore of Georgia, is expressing frustration at his call to have a special section to impeach Fani Willis, the prosecutor in Fulton County, for the way she's conducting her prosecution of the 19 people, including Trump and others. And but apparently he's getting no real support. As he says, it's hard to soar like an eagle when you're dealing with a bunch of buzzards. So anyhow, so it goes. If you like these videos, please give me a like, subscribe, and you can click the bell for notifications. Yeah, that's where we're going right now with this. It doesn't look like anything's changing. I do have a few thoughts. One of the other Democrat initiatives, which seems to be a little bit contrary to the theory that they want him to be the nominee, although it could have interesting ideas, is the other school of thought in the Democrat Party, which is saying, well, Article 3, I guess it is, of the 14th Amendment, trying to say that Trump engaged in an insurrection, so he should be banned from running for office. And in fact, I actually kind of hope that some Democrat state actually passes such a thing. And don't get too shocked here. There's a reason why I think that'd be a good thing. Because then we can go to court and challenge it and get it before the Supreme Court before it can actually interfere with the actual election process. Because I'm just about 99.9% sure that the Supreme Court will shoot that down if it gets there in time. I mean, because the real issue on a lot of these things is getting these things adjudicated soon enough before they do real damage. On the other hand, I have another idea along the same lines. I think it'd be good to see some Republican legislature pass a bill that would ban President Biden from running in 2024 because he's conducting an insurrection by totally allowing the country to be swarmed with illegal immigrants, and that's his form of insurrection against his constitutional duties, which he's supposed to uphold the law, which would be to not allow that to occur. That also, I think, would be bait for a lawsuit and would end up getting to the Supreme Court and would also fail. But nonetheless, I think the idea to respond in kind to that kind of thing it would be a good idea at this point, just to show them where this could go to, and also to get the Supreme Court to clearly say that basically there's no basis to preventing either person really from running from office. And I presume that will happen. Of course, if they uphold both of them, well, that's a whole different issue, but I don't think that's going to happen. So anyhow, so that's kind of where we are. Fani Willis is still doing what she's doing, and and Trump's still doing what he's doing, and we'll see what happens. I do think though that there's going to be a fall schedule because I don't think that she originally wanted to have her trial sometime in March, but I guess she's been preempted by the federal trial, so she's trying to move it to October, is it, or no, something like that. That seems like an absurdly short time. That's not going to happen. There's ongoing battles. Various people are trying to get their case separated. Sidney Powell's asking for a speedy trial so she can have hers early, and 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 Meadows, Mark Meadows, the former chief of staff to Trump, is asking for it to be moved to a federal case because his actions were taken as while he was the chief of staff in a federal office, and feels that this should be a federal case, not a state case. So we don't know how that's going to play out, but more power to him. Because after all, the better thing of the federal case is the quicker you can get to the Supreme Court, because I think it's about the only place where you're going to get any real justice in this. Although it's possible, I would say, that something could go wrong for Fannie and the Georgia system. But I generally find Georgia politicians to be kind of gutless, personally. Haven't lived there for over 20 years, but I mean they're very. I think part of it's because it's such a tight state between the Democrats and the Republicans, and the whole history of the racial past hovers over everything they do, you know. And I think that kind of is what deters them from being stronger on a lot of issues. I just noticed that repeatedly, you know, the appellate court in Atlanta, you know, failed to intervene in the whole ballot recount thing in Florida and the 2020 election. But when it got to Supreme Court, they took care of business. So I think this is the same sort of thing here. I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to see her case just unravel, because I think it's an asinine thing to try to consider this to be a RICO thing. I mean, there's a lot of real issues of principle here that are really at stake, and unfortunately, they're going to get adjudicated right in the middle of a very critical presidential campaign, which may well decide the future of this country. You know, sometimes a single election can be decisive. The election of 1860 turned out to be very decisive, if you think about it. The country was never the same as it was before 1860, right? And so I think the same thing, you know, I would say that the election of 1932 was similarly kind of a decisive election, which kind of permanently changed the country into a much more neo-Marxist oriented organization, a little bit more neo-Marxist, not fully, but it was heading in that direction and has been heading in that direction ever since then. The Reagan thing in 1980 was significant, but I think it was more like a bull rally in a bear market rather than a true turnaround, perhaps. If you only use a little stock market terminology there. But at any rate, so that's the situation I think we face here. I don't know. The problem I see is that the machine is in play, and it's all of it's in the hands of Democrats pretty much in terms of prosecutors. We do have a Republican judge in the Miami court for the documents case, and I don't know how. I mean, she's picked a mid-time in May. Of course, a lot of these trials, I guess one strategy from Trump's point of view seems to be he'd like to delay any of the trials coming to fruition until after the election. The theory being that, well, he'd be president then, and if he wins, and so that itself could get very interesting. And that is to say, what would happen to the trial if it didn't happen until he would be inaugurated? On the other hand, can he actually win with all this cloud hanging over him? I mean, he could, but what we really need in order to win is a left of center third party, not one that would, or a very left wing third party. But I think the most effective one would be probably one that'd be a left of center. Something like if RFK Jr. would get frustrated and angry and decide to run as a independent, would be an example of the kind of thing that might put Trump over the hill. I did see a poll that showed that if Taylor Swift were to run for president, and there actually apparently are Taylor Swift for president flags flying at various places. One of which is near where I live, which is kind of interesting. But anyhow, but one poll shows that she would take up 8% of the vote, and I think 3/4 of that would be from Biden. So, although it's interesting that 1/4 of it would be from Trump. But anyhow, that is one scenario, more on the humorous side, I would say, but because I don't think she can afford the pay cut really. But but that might help us out. But something like, well, RFK Jr. might be it, but I just can't imagine he would do that. Although you never know, maybe he'd get ticked off and decide to do it. I don't know, or somebody else. I don't know. There's always this no labels thing, and I don't think Joe Manchin's really going to throw away his political career for that. I mean, he's a powerful senator, a chairman. Why throw that away to be a defeated third party? But then again, it seems like a lot of these people in politics seem to have a fantasy view of themselves rather than a realistic one. So anyhow, that's kind of the way it goes. I just thought I'd kind of hit what we think about politics today and where it's going. Keep your fingers crossed, because we could end up in a fully Democrat government and would be on our way that the whole country will become like California or New York or something. So anyhow, all for now, I guess on that. I'll of course as usual be posting this on Rumble, and of course the addresses of my social media accounts are in the description below. And if important updates on various topics come in the meantime, I will probably post there, particularly on X, which is now called, I guess, formerly known as Twitter. I still don't understand changing the name of X. But okay, all for now.